Oh yes, we are going to rattle some cages today. Let's talk about Buffalo Trace Distillery or Sazerac Company. Let's go. Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Carlos. Thank you for joining me here on the Whiskey Corner, the Inside Whiskey Corner. It is thundering, raining like crazy, so yeah, we're not gonna be outside today, but I still wanted to bring you this video. Thank you for joining. Thank you for, well, joining, I guess, me here. Thank you for checking out the channel, the video. Please do me two favors. That's all that I ask. That's it. Please subscribe. That'll really help out the channel. And also, click that thumbs up button. It tells me that you actually like this video, or my channel, or just me in general. But hey, if you can't do that, then I'll go and cry in the corner. Not the whiskey corner, the other corner. But thank you guys. I truly appreciate all of you. I appreciate this community, and let's get into this video, what it's gonna be about. Before we do, I am drinking something. It's on this list. So we're gonna take our inaugural cheers. So cheers. That is good. That is one that I will work my ass off to always keep in this bar, by the way, and we'll get to what that is in a second, or in a few minutes. So, Buffalo Trace, yes, Buffalo Trace this, Buffalo Trace that, Blantons, Wellers. Do you have any Blantons? Where's your Buffalo Trace section? What do you have for Wellers? Do you have any rare Buffalo Trace items back there? These are all the things that we hear. I was never that person, although I'll share something in a second. But I was never that person, right? I always go into the liquor stores. I do my hunting a little bit differently, right? But even when I was a beginner, I never just went in like, open the door. You got any Blantons? No? Bye. You know, and that's what I feel some people are doing. But I digress. But we all hear the hype that is going on for these bottles, right? Anything that is Buffalo Trace Distillery or Sazerac Company, it is just crazy. But that creates more hype, right? Because when you're coming into the bourbon world and the first thing you hear about is, oh, Buffalo Trace is so hard to find, or Buffalo Trace bottles are so hard to find, and they don't meet the hype. And you hear all of this, but it's from people that have already tasted them. So you want to taste them as well, right? You want to get into it and be like, okay, well, I want to know what all the hype is about, right? So then you go on chasing those bottles, pay extra for them. And then the next person, it's like a vicious circle, guys. It's a very vicious circle. But it is the world that we live in, right? So especially as a newbie into bourbon, you're gonna probably want to go out and get a bottle from Buffalo Trace. And if you're a newbie, if you're a beginner watching this video, let me just let you know, Buffalo Trace is the distillery. Sazerac Company owns Buffalo Trace, and Buffalo Trace Distillery makes a whole bunch of different bottles of bourbon. But there is a Buffalo Trace bourbon as well. So you'll hear it. Not to sound confusing, but you'll hear it interchangeably in this video. So, with that said, I wanted to put a list together of what are some less difficult, less expensive Buffalo Trace Distillery bourbons that you could probably go out and look for, because you're gonna hear everything. Antique Collection, William LaRue Weller, any other Weller, Pappy Van Winkle, Stagg Jr., George T. Stagg, yada yada yada. It is just crazy. And if you go on chasing those bottles, you're gonna spend a crap load of money, and I really don't know what to tell you. Good luck. So what are those bottles that are less difficult to find and you probably won't spend too much money putting them into your collection, let's get into this list. So the very first one that we got to start off with is probably what I would consider the easiest to find, at least in my area it is, and that is Buffalo Trace. Yes, the Buffalo Trace bourbon. Yeah. This one's not open, I got it. I'm not a really big Buffalo Trace bourbon fan, but I always like to keep it in my bar just in case, because it's a good beginner bourbon. It's a good daily sipper, and overall, for the price, if you can find it at the regular like $24, $25-ish price, it's really good. That is probably a very good one to start with. Another good one, number 2, that I would start with if you want to dive into the rye world, by the way, is Sazerac Rye. Yep, Sazerac Rye. So, by the way, Buffalo Trace is 45% alcohol, so 90 proof. This is also 90 proof. This is a good introduction into ryes, right? I know when I bought it, I didn't really know too much about ryes, and I'm glad that this was probably one of my first ryes. And it's actually a pretty good rye because it's not that rye forward. It's more like a bourbon drinker's rye. It is a really good rye for people that haven't really tasted ryes and they want to find just something cheap. And it's made by Buffalo Trace Distillery. It is a little bit more difficult to find, at least in my area, than Buffalo Trace. I see it around every once in a while, maybe a few times a year. But you are able to find it if you look hard enough. Number 3, yes, another one, and this is probably one of my favorites from the whole Buffalo Trace, well, that I've tasted at least, and that is Eagle Rare. Yes, Eagle Rare, I would kind of hold it just a little tiny bit over Buffalo Trace bourbon on the how difficult to find level, right? I find this a lot more in my area than any other ones other than Buffalo Trace. Now, the little caveat there is that is getting very popular. Before you would find it, I would find it all day, every day. Well, not all day, every day, but if I do find it, the most I would have paid was 50 bucks. That has changed. In my area now, you could be paying up to $100 for this. Yes, for this 750 mil. Now, I truly love Eagle Rare. I have not paid $100 for it. I think the most that I have paid is $50. But I would pay $50 for this. I freaking love it. I think it is a great bourbon. It is definitely in my wheelhouse, and it's only 90 proof, but it is 10 years old, and I think that definitely makes a difference, and I would take it way over the regular Buffalo Trace for sure. All right, number 4. Now, I'm gonna get some flack for this, but hey, it is what it is. I know where to find this. In my area, and I just went to Texas, and this is all over the place in Texas as well. So I know in some areas you're able to find it, in some areas you are not. Here it is hard to find if you don't know where to look. In my area, you can find this in one particular store. Every once in a while, they do get a few bottles. Then there's time that they don't get any bottles at all. But lately, they have been getting a lot of bottles of this. I am quite honestly stocked up well on this, so I'm not buying another bottle. But that is Weller Special Reserve. Yes. If you're a newbie, you're probably not going to be able to find this anywhere. They keep it in the back somewhere at ABC Liquors, at least in my area. And if you know when to ask, if you know the day that it comes in, you can ask them and they can hold a bottle for you. Or you could just go pick it up and just tell them to go get it in the back. Now, if you live in a state where you're not gonna be able to find this, then yes, it's gonna be very difficult for you to find. I get that for $25, right? I think that's the regular MSRP, 23, 24, 25 bucks, something like that. So I get that for MSRP at that store. I've never seen it in my area at all. No other store sells it. I think they only give it to ABC. And if another store does have it, I would assume that it would be very expensive. You can find these online for like $70, $90 or something like that. It is not worth that. So try to find Weller Special Reserve and see if this weeded Weller thing is to your liking. All right, now the next bottle. Yes, we're gonna go to, you got any Blantons? Because that's what it is, guys. When people think about Buffalo Trace, yeah, Pappy Van Winkle, Blanton's, George T. Stagg. That's usually what they think of, right? You will go into a place and if you don't ask for this, somebody, you'll hear, if you stay in there long enough, you'll hear somebody come in and ask for it. In my area, you're able to find it, but at a cost, right? It's not as bad as what you would find it online, right? And Buffalo Trace, I mean, I particularly like Buffalo Trace, but yes, you gotta know it's only 93 proof and it's nothing out of this world, right? I like the taste of it, but it's nothing out of this world. It's definitely not worth secondary online prices of $300. Please do not buy this for $300. I would not even buy it at $200, right? In my area, I always see it, I used to see it for as low as $100 and then as high as $200. Now I'm seeing it between $150 and $250. So for the most part, Blanton's is probably the next one that you'll see in your area every once in a while. And if you ask the right person, maybe make friends with them, maybe buy enough stuff, you might get that connection to be able to get you one. All right, the next one is E.H. Taylor Small Batch. Yes, E.H. Taylor Small Batch is one that gets forgotten a lot, right? Everybody's all worried about the George T. Stagg, the Wellers, the Blantons, even the Eagle Rares. But you don't see that many people asking for E.H. Taylor. And this is a really good one, guys. I truly enjoy this. And if you haven't had an E.H. Taylor, I implore you to try to go out and find it because it's probably really good to go out and buy. In my area, no cheaper than $75. This is probably a 45 MSRP bottle, I think. I bought this one for $75. But I've seen them as high as $200, right? And a little caveat, a little tip that I'll give you guys. A lot of stores don't know what they have, so they'll price this small batch the same as the single barrel, the same as the barrel proof. But yes, be on the lookout for that, make your connections, hunt a little bit, and I'm sure you'll be able to find it. The last one, kind of, that I'm gonna put on here is another favorite of mine. In my area at first, when I first got into bourbon, it was not extremely impossible to find, if you could say it that way. And this is Stagg Jr., right? Now, I've been to a few places that they wanted a lot of money for it. I bought this one, I'll honestly say that I paid $125 for that. Yes, I did. Sorry if you hear the squeaky toy in the background for the dog. $125 for that, yeah. And that's a $65 bottle, so I paid over half. But after that, I haven't seen it in my area for less than $150. I saw it for $150 to $200 at that time. And then all of a sudden, it magically just all went away. I have never seen one in my area ever again. That one is batch 14, I believe, 14 or 15. And since then, I've never ever seen one. I've seen one in other states, but they also want like $200 for it. I'm not paying that. And they're also the same batch. So maybe I would pay for like a 16 or 17, which I'm trying to find, but definitely not that one. Either way, that might be a little easier for you guys to find depending on what state you live in or where you live in. Here, it is almost impossible now. So you can only imagine all the other ones that are impossible to find. All right, guys, that is my list. I lost count of where I was at, but the very last one that I wanted to talk to you guys about and what I'm drinking here is Weller Antique. I cannot find this in my area. Basically, you have to be part of Vault's program to find it, but my very first one, I did get it from Texas Bourbon Garage on the Whiskey Tornado live stream that I was able to buy, win a raffle. Since I tasted that, I freaking loved it, and this is what is in this glass. But what I wanted to tell you is that in some states, that one is a little less difficult to find. Here it's impossible to find. It's really good. It's 107 proof. By the way, it's Weller Antique 107. I didn't say the name of it, but you might have more luck finding it in other states. Well, that is the bottles that I think are easier to find from Buffalo Trace. Let me know how this is in your area. By the way, this is all based off my area here in South Florida, maybe even going a little bit up more to Central Florida. But it's based out of my area. You might see something different in your area. You might find some bottles that I can't find here, or some of these bottles might be more difficult to find over there than I can find here. So let me know, comment below, let me know what your thoughts are and how it works in your area, how much do you see these for, and which ones from easiest to hardest would be more likely for you to find. That's it, guys. This is way too long already. I'm gonna keep enjoying the rest of this Antique 107, and I want you to enjoy that whiskey. Cheers.